Well, we've got a brand new post-game mission in Pokemon Legends ZA with a new event that allows us to capture Mewtwo. So yeah, the trailer was posted yesterday along with the brand new Mega Evolution that was revealed. So heading over to Mystery Gift, you can receive the 2 Mewtwo Mega Stones. Then you head on over to the Lysander Cafe and descend into the depths of the Lysander Labs. As you'll know, the deepest part has a supercomputer and systems that will detect items in your pocket, and if you're there with the Mega Stones, it will ask you if you want to activate Project M. Very interesting name choice, Pokemon. You do get a warning from the computer saying that the project is highly dangerous and if you still want to release the locks, and oh boy, yep, I definitely do. Then Mewtwo breaks out and will appear before us, and I love a little cinematics here. Though Mabel knows what we're doing and calls us on the Rotom phone and gets all angry, I love that we get to see even more of her, and obviously she is the one character who would maybe be keeping an eye on things, and would obviously have something to say, telling us that we better catch Mewtwo because it's really dangerous. So once again, we're given another choice and warned about, hey, you know, this is a stronger Pokemon, don't enter a battle with it, but I'm totally fine with that, and again, like I said, I love the little cinematics here, even if we zoom in maybe a little too close on Mewtwo's eye. But anyway, the battle itself, yeah, it's a level 70 wild Pokemon and isn't all that difficult to take down. When I battled against it, it just kept using Amnesia, and then while I was trying to throw Pokeballs to capture it, then it finally got a chance to start launching moves against my Pokemon and started knocking them out. But I guess the easiest thing to do was just to eliminate all of its HP and then throw a Pokeball. Point is, the battle was okay, kinda similar to the Diancie event a few weeks ago, and especially because both of them are set in this very cramped space. But one successful capture later, Mabel continues her conversation and decides to show up with Holotech, actually giving us a really cool interaction. You know, in all honesty, I really did want to see a lot more of her throughout the rest of the game, but I'm glad that with this event being centered on Team Flare and giving us a little bit more lore, that she appears here. Though I don't know, man, what is up with the dialogue in this game? But anyway, she finally gives us the details of why Mewtwo was here in the first place. This does actually also answer a question that we've been asking for over a decade, that being, what the heck is Mewtwo doing in the Kalos region? Because in the original X and Y, Mewtwo did receive a Mega Evolution, in fact it received 2, but rather than having you bring it up from an older game or just give it to you through a distribution, Mewtwo could be encountered in the Unknown Dungeon, which is a cave in the Kalos region, nothing all that remarkable, but it was a means of allowing you to capture Mewtwo, though everybody couldn't help but wondering why this was the case. Of course it is Pokemon, and to make sure that you can capture every single Pokemon from previous games, sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches and not ask too many questions. But anyway, back to Mabel in the modern day, she lets us know that Mewtwo was a Pokemon created by a scientist who was conducting research on Pokemon DNA, and that it being a very powerful Pokemon and the stories of it spreading, Team Flare eventually gained some interest in it, even considering using Mewtwo's power in the ultimate weapon. Then she also tells us that when it had been spotted in Kalos' Unknown Dungeon, they went over and caught it, which at that point is another very interesting revelation, because then that would mean in this continuity of Pokemon Legends ZA, it could not be following a reality of X and Y where the protagonist caught Mewtwo in the postgame. Really, it does also exist in the reality where the XY protagonist didn't capture Zygarde either, so I guess the main climax of the games is canon, but most of the postgame legendary captures aren't. Anyway, again back to the explanation, Mabel lets us know that Team Flare has no idea what Mewtwo was even doing here, but one theory is that it came to seek the power of Mega Evolution, though even all the executives couldn't really figure it out, and apparently they had pieces of the Mega Stones, but they could never get it to actually Mega Evolve, so that's why Project M was put on ice and stored away. Another interesting detail she says though, and I don't know if this was in another Pokemon game, but she says that Mewtwo tends to mostly just hang about saving up its energy for when it needs to battle, which is actually such a funny explanation, because most of the time in other Pokemon games when we do find Mewtwo, it is just hanging out by itself and not really going out and getting into a bunch of battles or causing any trouble. Mabel suspects that Mewtwo awakened because we had the Mega Stones, but on top of that she questions why we have them. Like, I don't know either, I was just given them by a mystery gift. I feel like this line was more of a reference to the fact that mystery gifts just kind of have no real explanation. Like, yeah, you just get this really rare item or this really rare Pokemon just because. But anyway, that is about it for the actual story of the event, and even though it does answer some questions, it leaves us with a bunch of others. Again, I know I said that legendary Pokemon are just always kind of just implemented into every game and you don't need to think about it all too much, but it really does make me wonder if this Mewtwo, the one that came to the Kalos region, continues to be some evidence of there maybe being multiple Mewtwo's. This was a theory that was really popular during Pokemon X and Y because of one of the anime movies that introduced Mewtwo and Mega Evolution, which isn't really canon to the main series anime anyway, but the point is that there was a completely different Mewtwo in that movie to the one from the original, though that is something that I could at least believe being true in the video games, because the Mewtwo appearing in the Kalos region is one of the only main canon ones that you can catch in game, because in every other game you need to either transfer in a Mewtwo, or you need to catch it in one of the wacky post-game areas like Ultra Space or the Max Layers, which already have a lot of weirdness going on. So at the very least, it appears that the two main canon places you can catch Mewtwo are in the various versions of Kanto Cerulean Cave cave, or this Mewtwo that came to the Kalos region. Again, they could be the same Pokemon, again relying on existing in timelines where the protagonist did not capture it, saying that Pokemon X and Y take place in a reality where nobody from Kanto decided to catch it, and the same going for Pokemon Legends ZA. Maybe I'm getting a little too confusing here with what I'm trying to communicate, but I could go either way with this being evidence for there being multiple Mewtwo. Sadly though, the Pokédex entries don't really give us any more insight, because again, Pokemon Legends ZA does use recycled Pokédex entries. Yeah, even the Mega Evolution Pokédex entries, both of them. But for now, I thought it was a pretty fun event. I love getting some extra lore, I love the little interactions we get with Mewtwo, and I especially love getting to see even more Mabel. The one thing that I might have preferred was an extra area, you know, like maybe we actually get to see some of the lab where Mewtwo was being stored, rather than just having it fade out and then fade back in and saying, ooh, it escaped from where it was. No, I wanted to see the broken test tubes, the notes hidden everywhere, dive into the computer logs, all of that. Give us somewhere new for the battle to take place. Because I literally was already here. Which, hey, by the way, the next video coming out is going to be discussing all of that story from the main game, and if you're a member, you can watch it right now. But for the moment, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below, and tell me which Mega Mewtwo is your favorite. Also, if you have any theories, go ahead and share those as well. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take a nap just like my best buddy Mewtwo. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the great Gators, Dude Prinny, Alex with Shiny Hunts, Cosmo Zero, Tyler Hopper, Koi Koi 13, Cemetery Hill, Cheese at 62, Gator Kid 509, TF, Mathaclog 947, Taijirai, Phantom, and Quago. If you would like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, and our members podcast, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I'll catch you all later.
A Pokémon from 300 million years ago has been restored into the present day. Genesect.
Mewtwo!
Pokémon, the movie. Genesect. And the legend awakened.